The day Robert Mueller was appointed special counsel, May 17, 2017, President Trump learned about it in the Oval Office, according to the Mueller report, slumped back in his chair and said, "Oh my God, this is terrible. This is the end of my presidency. I'm effed." Adding later, "This is the worst thing that ever happened to me." But the special counsel investigation concluded that neither the president nor anyone in the president's campaign helped the Russians hack into Democratic computers to steal and post emails, or set up phony social media accounts to spread disinformation. Attorney General William Barr said today that's good news.
That is something that all Americans can and should be grateful to have confirmed.
But the report said several actions by the president were investigated as potentially amounting to obstruction of justice. Some are well known, like the firing of the FBI director James Comey and the way the president explained it to Lester.
When I decided to just do it, I said to myself, I said, you know, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story.
But the report says substantial evidence indicates that the catalyst for the president's decision to fire Comey was that Comey wouldn't say the president was not personally under investigation. The report says the president's conduct changed markedly after he realized that he was under investigation and that he repeatedly tried to force Mueller's removal. It says he told the White House counsel, Don McGahn, to fire Mueller, but that McGahn decided he would rather quit than carry out that order, fearing another Saturday night massacre. The report says the president asked his former campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, to relay a message urging Attorney General Jeff Sessions to publicly announce that the Mueller investigation was unfair to the president. That message was never delivered, though the president remained furious that Sessions took himself out of any decisions about the investigation because he campaigned with the president.
The Attorney General says, I'm going to recuse myself. And I said, why the hell didn't he tell me that before I put him in?
As for the infamous Trump Tower meeting in June 2016, the report says the president made misleading public statements but did not try to mislead investigators. 10 actions in all were investigated, but Mueller concluded the evidence wasn't clear enough to firmly establish the president intended to obstruct justice. Because some things happened in public view, it was hard to determine the president's intent, and because there was no other crime to cover up. But Mueller's team says if we had confidence that the president clearly did not commit obstruction of justice, we would so state. Mueller writes that he concluded he could have gotten a grand jury subpoena to try to force the president to answer questions. We chose not to do so, Mueller said, in view of the substantial delay such a step would produce at a late stage in the investigation. The president did respond to written questions, saying he didn't recall or couldn't remember in 35 of those answers. Other than declining in-person interviews, the White House cooperated with the Mueller investigation. As for the critical question, why no indictment? Mueller says he's bound by a long-standing ban on indicting a sitting president. For that reason, his report reaches no conclusion about whether President Trump obstructed justice.
Department of Justice policy precludes charging a sitting president. The Mueller team was bound by that policy. So therefore, they couldn't recommend charging a sitting president either.
But the report strongly implies that the evidence of obstruction is substantial and that such a decision is up to Congress because it has the power of impeachment. But Attorney General Barr said today he and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein felt they had to reach a conclusion and decided the evidence did not establish obstruction.
That is our responsibility, and that's why we have the tools we have. And we don't go through this process just to collect information and throw it out to the public.
The report is more definitive about efforts by Vladimir Putin's Russia to influence the campaign. It says Russia perceived it would benefit from the Trump presidency and that the Trump campaign expected it would benefit from information the Russians stole. But the investigation did not establish that members of the campaign conspired or cooperated with the Russians. The report says there were, quote, numerous contacts between the Russians and members of the Trump campaign, but it says those did not amount to illegal influence and that no member of the campaign ever acted on behalf of the Russian government. Nor does it say anything to suggest that Vladimir Putin had any kind of hold over President Trump. As for those redactions, the section dealing with obstructions is only lightly blacked out, but the other, examining contact with the Russians, has some heavy redactions, many citing ongoing investigations. Barr said today he'll let some members of Congress see a version that has only grand jury information blacked out, which he says he's legally required to keep secret.
And Pete joins us now. Pete, one thing we noticed today, there was a big difference between what this report said and the way the Attorney General, William Barr, summarized it last month.
Well, the report suggests that the Mueller team thought the evidence of obstruction was strong, but Barr said today that Mueller told him a month ago that the evidence wasn't definitive, that it pointed in both directions, and that the lack of a conclusion about obstruction of justice in the report was not based on this constitutional ban on indicting a sitting president.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.